2025, and as every single year, we are ecstatic because we're about to introduce the theme for the year. And of course, with me, I have none other than Mr. Marlon Parker. Mr. Marlon Parker, over to you.
Chrissy, thank you so much. And of course, this is something new we're doing.
Oh my!
I know we've never done it before. We really want to share the theme and unpack it in such a format.
Oh my goodness! And of course, it's really unplanned because I feel like we need to be as authentic.
Yes.
I think that's definitely what our listeners deserve this year. And so, I mean, I'm sure everyone has been waiting in anticipation, just like every other year. But this year, I feel that there's something special about this year. I don't know if you feel it. If our listeners has, if they feel it with us. Yeah.
No, of course. I mean, we started with these culture sessions. I think it was like 15 years ago when we started the RLabs journey. And to think that every year, of course, we do this theme, and the theme becomes part of the DNA. And I remember it started back in the day where the first one was a social revolution.
Oh my goodness.
And each year, we started going from rising up to be exponential. Last year was focus forward. And of course, this year, I'm very excited to really just unpack a little bit about our theme for RLabs this year.
Okay, so I'm gonna take it back. Yes. Okay, so of course you have this theme, and I mean you've mentioned that it's been 15 years, yes. And every single year, there's something that's dropped or downloaded. What's really inspired this thing about the theme? Yeah.
When you a movement like RLabs, we are a movement by people for people. So we want to make sure that we move together. If all of us decide that we are supporting one goal, one dream, one vision, then we can move together. And that has always kind of been, I think, very important for us when we think about the theme. So the theme is a good way for us not just to discuss and engage it collectively as a organization and as a people, but it's also an opportunity for us to really kind of use that to grow personally, to grow in our teams, to grow in our communities. And that's part of the reason why I think the theme for every year as part of our culture has been so instrumental. But it's also a wonderful way for people to say, wait a minute, like last year was focus forward.
Yes.
As much as that's the theme for RLabs, how do I begin to focus forward? How do I begin to give attention to the things that are important? And that is really what it's about. It's when we as individuals are able to live out the so-called themes, and it becomes part of our daily rhythms that it actually helps, because all of us need to find rhythms. These are the things that we do on a daily basis. And when we can start mastering the rhythms, and that's good for us and it serves us and those around us, then it can only go well with us.
Marlon, I can't imagine every single year everyone is always waiting, right? And you've taken on this responsibility, because it's no one else is doing it. You've done it, and we really, really grateful to have you as a leader. And I'm like, what does this mean to you personally? Because I mean, you've mentioned, this, it is about people, and it is about moving together in unison. But it, of course, it needs to start somewhere. So I'm just really curious, what, for you personally, what does that journey look like for you?
For me, the journey is remember, whatever the theme is, it's for me first, right? So this year, and like many other years, I remember 2020, the theme was Rise Up. It was really about how do you go on a journey where even when you are knocked down, you dust yourself off and you get back up again. And it's interesting that a week after sharing the theme, I literally was knocked down by what people said, and I had to come back and say, wait a minute, but I just shared this idea that we're going to rise up. So it doesn't matter how hard things are, it doesn't matter how difficult things are. And none of us knew that 2020 will give us a hard lockdown and COVID, right?
But we did not see that one coming at all.
So out of all of that, we needed to rise up. So many times the theme is fundamentally, it's a very personal thing, it's a personal journey. But I also believe it's a journey inspired by God, a journey that we are on together as a collective. And that's why we're so excited to kind of do this podcast and share this with our broader community, because it means a lot to us. We've seen, the goodness of God, and we've seen how this has really kind of gone beyond just what we do individually, but what we can see as an impact beyond just RLabs. And I think that for me has always been good when people come back and say, you know what, Marlon, we've been able to, the theme, for example, was be exponential. All of a sudden I decided to go and study and get my degree.
Yep.
Never thought I could do it before, and now that's what they've done. And that is the essence of it. The great thing about it as well is, just because it's a theme for a year, it doesn't mean that next year you stop doing it.
Of course.
It's the same like if they teach you at school how to multiply the 1 year, next year doesn't mean you're going to stop multiplication. So how do you carry that with you? And as you mature in going on this journey of hope, which is so critical and crucial in the RLabs journey, how do you ensure that you embody what the theme represents as we make hope contagious?
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I think is really important for our listeners just to hear the origin of this. And of course, let's not keep people waiting any longer. So I'm actually going to allow you to just to share, what is this year's theme?
And I think that the theme for 2025 for RLabs, at least, like as 2024's theme was really about focus forward. How do you ensure that you're not going to be caught up with what is behind you, but you're going to go and look ahead for things that are before you? And one of the most difficult things for us as a people is we get so caught up with things in the past. We become so obsessed with the past that we miss the new things, that we miss the new pathways, the new opportunities that's before us. And therefore Focus Forward has been very instrumental in the journey of RLabs. But now the great thing about that, when you are focused, when you have now set yourself in motion that I'm moving forward, then it presents a new opportunity. And that opportunity is fundamentally what this particular 2025 theme is, and that is Elevate. It's right here on my chest. I think part of the idea when you think about Elevate, and it's not elevation, it's important to note that Elevate talks about focusing on the next level. Right? That's when if we can just think of the scenario where I'm climbing a mountain, right? And I'm looking at going up. And this year for us and for those listening should be a year where we say, you know what? I know things have been hard, but this year I'm going to the top. This year I'm not going to allow my circumstances, I'm not going to allow what people said about me, my past, to stop me from taking that step of faith and going up. So Elevate is really, it's a doing word. If you think about it, it's an actionable word. So we will elevate. It's about soaring. It's about going to new heights. Elevate talks about growth. It talks about also not just going up, but lifting others. It's so easy for us to not wanting to lift others because we're constantly thinking just about ourselves. It talks about increasing. How do I increase? How do I expand? And that is really what 2025 is about. And I think today we're just going to unpack a little bit about what does it mean to elevate? What does it mean for us personally to elevate? And how are we as RLabs embarking on this journey of elevating? Now, a very interesting thing for us to understand that the theme for the year is elevate, but we also have to understand it's elevate, awaken, and multiply. So elevate is really the action that we do, but we want to ensure that as we elevate, we will awaken and multiply. Now, there's a wonderful, and this is found in Genesis 1:28. It says, this is a command. This is what I believe all of us should be. We need to be fruitful right? We need to multiply. We need to fill the earth, govern it, and then have dominion. And there's a few things that I believe that is important for us as a people when we think about how do we become fruitful. Now, again, when you think about elevate is all about going up. It's about when you and many times it will be a lonely journey, right? Not everybody would want you to go up with it. Not everybody would want you to go up. People also used to seeing us in the valley. They're so used to seeing us down and out. That when you are just wanting to go up, just when you want to go and elevate, then all of a sudden people would start changing what they think about you and they'll talk about you. And for me, the key thing about elevating is we need to be fruitful. In other words, do we live a life that produces, that creates more, that creates opportunities and possibilities? And that's why it's important that we understand that elevate is a verb. It's an actionable thing, right? And so this year's theme is all about taking the actions so that we can go up.
So I'm really, I mean, normally we're excited about it, but there's this peace, there's this assurity that I know that for 2024 it was hard in our community. We've experienced we had some personal losses within our organization as well, and it was real.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the switch that we now have to make, and I mean, I'm sure everyone's asking, okay, you asking me to elevate, so so you saying that everything that we've gone through, leave it there.
Yeah.
And focus, and focus on God.
Yeah.
Focus on God first.
Yeah.
So I mean, just because it's always that, because like, this is what I've gone through, and this is where I need to be going. So what is our responsibility? As for me, what is my responsibility as a leader? As a daughter.
Yeah.
As a community leader, what is my responsibility now?
And I mean, that's a very good question. I think when we think about elevating, I think it's important for us to realize that, and you mentioned something that, when you're down and out, and if you think about I always tell people that if you're climbing a stairs, you have to go down before you go up. Just think about it. If you climb the stairs, you first have to go down and then you go up. And I believe that it's in that moments of when you feel down and out, the moments where you might feel at your lowest, it presents an opportunity for you to elevate. And I think that is really important. So there's a few things that I believe that I just want to share, or when we think about if we are going to elevate, or how we need to go about it. So the first thing is we need to make sure that it's God first. I mean, the crazy thing about this journey is you cannot go on this journey alone, right? It might be a lonely journey because nobody else would want to take the step with you, especially if you find yourself in a place where no one else, you say, I want to achieve this. I want to go for this goal or this. We have to put God first. And that is important because he's the one that can elevate you. When he is elevated, he draws everybody to himself. So it's simple that it has to be God first. Secondly, you need to have vision. Now just imagine if you want to climb Table Mountain, like you want to climb this mountain, big mountain in Cape Town. So now you need to see it, and you need to see yourself. Can I go to the top? Now, there's some people you would talk and tell people, hey, I want to go to the top. And many people would say, oh, but you're not going to be able to do it. And they'll give you the reasons why you cannot do it.
Of course.
But the key thing is for you to have vision. Now, your vision is important because it's your vision that you can go after. Right? And I really want to encourage everybody, have a vision for your life. Have a vision for what you want to do for this year. Have a vision for what you want to see in your family, professionally, whatever. Find yourself a vision, and it's a vision that you can elevate yourself towards. So that's the second thing that is important. And then you need to have audacity. You need to have faith. Right? You cannot, if you see the mountain, you need to have faith so that you can go and take the step. because every single step will move you closer to your vision. And many times we find ourselves that we're not willing to take that step, right? And I really want to encourage people, just have the audacity, take that step of faith. And then you need to, once you've got that audacity and faith, now you begin to tell yourself, you know what, let me find a different perspective. Sometimes it's the circles that we find ourselves in that is not serving us. So we need to ask ourselves, what are the people that we're hanging around? That's, can we change our perspective? Before, nobody in my family might have climbed the mountain before, but I can be the first. Remember, I didn't say I'm the only one. I will be the first, which means once I've done it, it now becomes a reality for everybody else following. So we need to be able to elevate our perspectives. How do we change our perspectives? Just because you come from a certain community, a certain background, it shouldn't determine your elevation. And don't let your circumstances, your past determine your elevation. So change your perspective. And I think that's really important. And then once your perspective has changed, now you need to elevate your attitude. Right? Because it's your attitude that determines your altitude. So how do we go when we say, you know what, let me change my attitude, that I've have the vision, I've taken the step of faith, I've now changed my perspective, and now I'm going to change my attitude. And this is so important for us this year as we decide to go on this journey to elevate.
My goodness. I mean, one of the things that really just really pulled my heartstrings is this thing about, where you surround the environments you find yourself in, it really shapes us.
Yes.
It really gives us, that's the direction you are going.
Yeah.
And I mean, you made that very clear. And I think about there's so many young people that they may not know God, and or they might not have a good relationship, for instance, with their families or things like. And sometimes it's those struggles that like how do I have faith when everything around me looks blur? So what would you share with a young person, finding themselves at crossroads?
I've made a decision to elevate. My circumstances doesn't match my vision. My circumstances doesn't match my perspective. But if there's one thing that you can do, you can elevate your faith. You can elevate your attitude. Yes. Right? And I think this is so important. Because if you can elevate your faith and your attitude, then you can elevate your action. So if I want to become a medical doctor and I'm at school, I need to most probably make sure that I get good grades, right? So maybe no one in my family has ever been a medical doctor.
Yes.
But my vision is I want to become a medical doctor. So it means that I need to put in the time now. I need to give time, and that time and my actions will basically lead me to a place where I might get the grades or all those things for that. And I think for some key things for young people to consider, and for anybody to consider, when your circumstances don't match the vision of elevating, is one, it's God first. Like it has to be God first. You cannot start anywhere else. It has to be God first. I also want to encourage them is like, when you elevate, when you have the vision, and when you've now changed your attitude, you now start elevating your action, as I mentioned before, but also elevate your relationships. Many times we find ourselves with people that when you want to go up, then they have a different view of you, or they say things about you. The other thing we also have to realize is that as you go up, not everybody's going to go all the way.
I mean, that's the tough,
reality,
the
right?
tough one.
And many times we want people to be with us all the time.
Yes, especially when they're so dear to you, and we've done this for years together, and and of course it's normal.
Yeah.
Especially our friends and our family, and what do you say to that?
And the thing I want people to remember is some people might go a certain way and then they will go back down. Others, as you go up, the weather changes. The higher you go, the climate changes. The air that you breathe changes. So not everybody is made for that kind of, for that kind of environment that you're in. And these are very important things. I also want to encourage people that as you elevate your relationships, also be very careful where you spend all your energy. Sometimes you can spend your energy trying to convince people.
Yes.
And it tires you out.
Oh my.
And it's the same, like I remember once going on a hike and then wanting to encourage this person, oh man, let's go, let's do this. And I really wanted to have this person, and I said, no, come on, I'm going to help you up. And spent like half an hour just debating. And by that time, it's like, oh, mate, no more seems to go up. And if I spent all that time and that energy, and I'm not saying let's not be an encourager or motivate people. All I'm saying is be very cautious where you spend your energy, where you spend your all the time. And I think that is important. And then lastly, as a young person, there's one thing that I've remembered is that move with purpose, right? It just takes one step. It doesn't matter if you're not on the top where you want to be, but you've taken it one step, right? Knowing that one single step is taking me closer to where I've never been before.
Or who you've never ever met before, and who you should meet
Exactly.
at that time of your life. But because you're holding on to
Yes.
the past or the people around you, you're never going to meet who you're supposed to
And
be
you don't
meeting.
know who else is up on that pathway, right?
Yes,
There's
and-
some people that might have been to the top that now comes down to see you, and they will guide you to the top. And I think that is something that we need to learn.